Hi everybody, welcome to this week's segment of OWA Live. A few weeks ago we talked about the debt ceiling and I got a lot of positive response, a lot of people that watched that video that said, well, those are some pretty interesting ideas. So we thought it would be good to do a follow-up since the debt ceiling is no longer an issue, which, surprise, surprise, everything got resolved right in the nick of time. I don't want to say I told you so, but we knew exactly that that would happen. So I thought it would be good to just kind of follow through and see what was done and what the follow-up was. First and foremost, the debt ceiling has been completely eliminated until January 1st of 2025. So interestingly enough, they didn't set a new debt ceiling, they just abolished it altogether. They got rid of any debt ceiling concerns that there are, which that was kind of a surprise. I didn't think that that would actually happen. I knew that they'd come to some kind of agreement, but it was surprising to hear they just did away with the debt ceiling altogether. There were some concessions put in place. So, for example, discretionary spending is capped, meaning the federal government can only spend on like ancillary stuff, which I'm guessing is like hotels and food and whatever else they spend money on. That's been capped for 2024 and 2025. There was no adjustment to veteran health care. There was no adjustment to Social Security or to Medicare. Any, up to that point, unused COVID funds had to be rescinded. The IRS funding, I know that there's been a lot of talk about that. It looks like that was all rescinded. One thing that people were talking about are student loans. So right now there's a moratorium in place. That's been extended until September 1st. So those of you that are still delaying payments on your student loans, you're good until September 1st of this year. And then in theory, that should kick back in. Interesting to note that Biden's student loan forgiveness plan was unaffected, so that's still in place. That wasn't touched. Ultimately, looking through kind of the bullet points of what had happened, there doesn't really seem to be much follow-up. It seems like there's going to be a little bit of cutting here and there, and I guess the biggest negotiation item was the IRS funding pullbacks. But other than that, it looks like federal government has pretty much a blank check for the next 2 years. Now, how is this important? Some of you are probably fuming right now. Some of you are probably like, no, it doesn't really matter anyways. The national debt's such a large number that it's not going to really change anything. One major impact that I think nobody's really looking at yet is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is set to expire January 1st of 2026, which is exactly a year from when the debt ceiling will come back into play. We don't know what the politics will look like at that point, whether we've got a different political party in control, but it is pretty darn sure that those Tax Cuts and Jobs Act rules and laws will likely be set to expire, meaning we'll all have higher tax liabilities. So that's a big thing that we need to plan for. A lot of you have probably seen our key financial data charts. We use these all the time. As a matter of fact, most of our advisors have these laminated and carry them around everywhere they go. If you don't have one of these yet, make sure that you reach out because this is helpful information. This is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, whatever it's called. This is that plan all put to paper. And if this is what we've got for the next 3 tax years, we need to make sure that we're utilizing the most out of it. So give us a call. Feel free to get us scheduled for some kind of review where we can go over this with you. If you'd like more information, feel free to reach out to one of our offices and our advisors would be happy to help. Until next week, thank you for joining us with this OWA Live. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below in the comment box. And also, we should have, I think, another couple of videos floating around my head that you can click and continue to watch. Thanks and see you next week.